I'm Jim Lampley. I've learned here at the Winternational Drag Racing Championships that drag racing in the 80s is a very highly organized, very sophisticated, and indeed a very expensive sport. Here to watch it with me, our automotive racing expert Sam Posey, himself a lover of fast times and expensive toys and a bit of a drag racing freak. Sam, what is it you like about drag racing?
Well, Jim, I think it's that none of the other forms of automobile racing that I've been involved with offer such sharp contrasts or seeming contradictions as this one. For example, it's thought to be a man's game, and yet it is an 110-pound woman that is the current champion of the fastest class of all. It's thought to be a sport of blinding speed, and yet, to the drivers at least, those 250-mile-an-hour runs unfold almost as if in slow motion. And it's thought to be a sport for people that love cars, yet they push them so hard that it really becomes a form of mechanical torture.
And this year, the torture is spread over 2 weekends as racing barely got underway a week ago before being rained out. Before that happened, Gary Beck, in the glamorous Top Fuel category, covered the quarter-mile track in 5.52 seconds, a time which will become a new National Hot Rod Association record if he can back it up today with a time within 1%, 5.57 or less. His semifinal opponent, Shirley Muldowney, the biggest name in the sport, who, unlike most of the racers, doesn't do any work on her own car.
I don't need anything more to think about when I go to the starting line. I should think about reaction time and doing everything right and not making a mistake. Hopefully, Gary will have too much to think about. That's the advantage of being a woman.
There is a look at Gary Beck of El Toro, California, who will be in the blue car racing against the distinctive pink car of Shirley Muldowney from Mount Clemens, Michigan. It costs something well over $250,000 a year to keep one of these Top Fuel cars in competition for a year, and these are probably the two most financially well-backed racers in the class.
And each run, Jim, costs a lot of money. $900 for the fuel alone. The tires are only good for about 6 runs, and each time they run them, you expect to burn at least 2 or 3 pistons in the engine.
The Christmas tree, as they call it. You'll see one flash of yellow light toward the bottom, then the green, which means go. And they're off. Shirley Muldowney with the early edge, and she is going to win the race easily. So Muldowney eliminates Gary Beck from the competition, and there'll be no NHRA record for Beck.
Well, let's have another look at the start. Muldowney had been having trouble making her starts, Jim, during the week, but she made a clutch adjustment just before this run, and as you can see, just a few yards off, she's gained a full car length over Gary Beck.
The other semifinal matchup in the Top Fuel class produces Jody Smart of San Antonio, Texas, against Jerry Ruth of Seattle, Washington, who won this championship 6 years ago. Ruth will be on the near side of your screen, Smart on the far side. Jody Smart estimates, incidentally, that his car produces about 500 horsepower less at its peak than the other cars in the class, but he believes that he gets a more consistent performance out of the engine that way. Instantaneous reaction to the green light, one of the real keys to success in this sport. And as they take off, it appears that Smart left him a little bit at the line, and even though fishtailing just a little bit, Jody Smart was able to win.
Let's have another look at that run in some detail, Jim. The lights in the upper right of the screen there are the staging lights, and they trigger the lights here on the Christmas tree. Now watch the third light up from the bottom, a yellow light. When it comes on, there'll be just 0.3 of a second before the green light, which starts the race, comes on. Both men make perfect starts. They're dead even after a few yards. But the first major development occurs here when Smart's tires begin to smoke. That's excessive wheel spin. So he shifts gears, and in slow motion, we see him fighting for control. Both cars are doing over 150 miles an hour here. Next, as Smart regains control, Ruth's engine begins to fail. Notice that his rear tires have stopped spinning. That line is the first part of the timing trap, which will measure the car's top speed. Smart has caught Ruth and is traveling much faster at this stage. There's the finish line, where the elapsed time is measured and the race won and lost. Smart wins this one. The last line is the far end of the speed trap. Ruth is slowing and trying to save what's left of his engine, and he is measured at 16 miles an hour less than Jody Smart.
So it will be Jody Smart who moves on to challenge Shirley Muldowney in the finals of the Top Fuel category. And when we come back to Pomona, California in the San Gabriel Valley, we'll have the semifinals in the exciting funny car class right after this. Back at the Winternational Drag Racing Championships, because it's a short, straight shot, this form of racing does not produce the kind of danger that some other forms of auto racing do. But we are taking a look back now at an unusual crash which took place a week ago in early rounds in the alcohol funny car competition. The car which you saw totaled belonged to Lou Gasparelli. It collided after the start with the car belonging to Lee Zeinert.
Well, it's hard to pin the blame here, Jim, because both cars are so out of shape, but it is Gasparelli's there on the right of your screen who seems to come more across the center line than the other car. And of course, ironically, it's Gasparelli's that then becomes absolutely total in this collision with the guardrail. It's fascinating the way the rear wheel, the throttle must be partly jammed, because look at that rear wheel spinning and just throwing up clouds and clouds of smoke, tire smoke.
Which created some suspense regarding Gasparelli's condition, but because of the sturdy roll cage with which these cars are equipped, he was unhurt. That happened in the alcohol funny car competition. The more prestigious class is fuel funny car racing, and earlier Sam Posey took a look at one of those cars.
It has often been observed that there's nothing humorous at all about a funny car. They are only a fraction of a second slower down the strip than the all-out AA fuel dragsters, and to sit in one, as I am now, is a truly frightening and claustrophobic experience. The body is just a thin fiberglass shell. In spite of its size, it weighs just over 100 pounds. The driver sits right behind this enormous engine and right beside these rear tires. If something goes wrong, the only way out of this car is through a hatch in the roof.
And now we're going to see the two semifinal races in the funny car division. The first one will match the defending NHRA funny car champion, Canadian Frank Hawley, against Tom McEwen of Fountain Valley, California. Then we'll see Tom Anderson of Macedon, New York, against Gary Bergen of Stanton, California. Funny cars. These cars are almost as fast as the top fuel dragsters which you saw earlier. And in this race, it is Hawley on the left and McEwen on the right.
They're almost as fast, and they're a great deal more difficult to drive, Jim, because they have a much shorter wheelbase. They're not as stable when they come off the line.
Frank Hawley grabbed a bit of an edge at the start, and he is going to hold that lead all the way through the quarter mile. So it is Frank Hawley of London, Ontario, in Canada, who easily eliminates McEwen and moves into the funny car final. Now here's the reaction of McEwen's pit crew. Remember, the cars don't stop until they're a half mile down the track. There's Hawley's pit crew. They have just now focused on the fact that their man won.
The other semifinal funny car match is between Tom Anderson and Gary Bergen. And until just moments ago, the Tom Anderson crew, including Anderson himself, was completing a major engine overhaul and change. In fact, there goes a new cylinder head right onto the thing. Anderson very, very much involved in the work himself, and it makes you wonder, Jim, as he comes to the line, how can his concentration be 100% after he's just worked that hard on the car?
Things have gone well for him, though, in earlier rounds. Anderson is the leading qualifier in this division at 238+ miles per hour. Interesting that the men considered the two biggest bankrolls in the division, Kenny Bernstein and Don Prudhomme, were both eliminated in earlier rounds. Now there's the start. Bergen on the left, Anderson on the right, and it is going to be Tom Anderson who holds the edge all the way down the track. So Anderson, the leading qualifier, will move into the final against Frank Hawley. We'll take another look at the start, and it is fascinating to reflect that this engine, which won the run for Tom Anderson and has put him into the final, was just moments ago in pieces in his pit.
Pretty exciting stuff. You had an engine change. You got it together in time to win a very, very close race. How do you feel?
I feel great. I feel good because the car performed like it should. Even with the engine change and everything, it's tough, but we done it.
It's amazing to me to see an engine that far apart and back together in time to do what you just did.
We got a good crew.
In drag racing, more than other forms of racing, critical action takes place as much off the track as on it. Here you're seeing a 30-minute engine change compressed into just 30 seconds. It's kind of a cross between an Indy pit stop and open heart surgery.
The most sophisticated and well-backed racers have crews of up to 4 or 5 people, but most of the racers work on their own cars as well. And even as we speak, Bob Glidden, one of the 2 finalists in the pro stock competition, is readying for his final race with Frank Iaconio. Sam Posey is ready to talk to him as he works on his car.
Bob, how's it going?
Well,
We haven't found what we need to find yet. We're still searching.
Okay, you're up against Frank Iaconio, who not only has set a new track record, but he's done so. He's had every run a very easy one. You've had difficulty with every run. What is in your mind now?
Well, Iaconio's ran consistently well. We've been running consistently worse. We're capable of running as quick as Iaconio ran, but we're going to have to find what our problem is.
Do you have any clue at this point?
No, the engine, this particular engine is oiling real bad. I'm sure that's why we're getting the engine miss. If we figure out why it's oiling, we'll figure out the problem.
Okay, good luck to you.
Thank you. We'll need it.
Only a short period of time for Glidden to get ready for his final race, and we'll see all the finals when we come back to the Winternational Drag Racing Championships. So now as we cruise back into present tense, this is Jim Lampley along with Sam Posey, and we get ready for finals in the Pro Stock, Funny Car, and Top Fuel classes at the Winternational Drag Racing Championships. But in addition to those three classes, there have been races in quite a number of other divisions here. Let's sit back and enjoy the visual variety of drag racing.
You're leaving now. It's in your eyes. There's no disguising it. It really comes as no surprise to find that you planned it all along. I see it now. It comes so clear. Your insincerity and be all starry-eyed. You think that I would have known by now.
Pro Stock final, Frank Iaconio against Bob Glidden, one of whose distinctions is that his wife Etta is his crew chief.
You've kept the same combination together, obviously, for a long time. Do you think that's been a strength?
Well, yes, probably, but you know, when you're married, it's kind of hard to get rid of your mechanic.
Wouldn't make sense to get rid of your mechanic when you're as successful as Bob Glidden is. He has the highest winning percentage in the NHRA. He was the leading qualifier among 32 here. Iaconio, the second qualifier. That kind of predictability, not unusual in this class, Sam.
Well, no, it isn't, but this time, Glidden, because of the work he's been doing on his engine, may see that reliability record impaired. Iaconio, on the other hand, is coming off a real hot streak.
He defeated Bob Glidden at last year's national championships in Indianapolis, so this is a rematch. Glidden in the blue car. Iaconio got the jump at the start, and Frank Iaconio is going to hold that edge through the finish, so Frank Iaconio has won the Pro Stock Winternational Championship. Celebration among his pit crew. And now, the funny car drivers are being fitted into their cars for their final, which will match Tom Anderson against Frank Hawley. A little while ago, Sam Posey was able to ask Frank Hawley about his mental preparation for the final, the 6 seconds or less in which he becomes a champion or a runner-up.
I usually feel pretty relaxed in the car, and for something particular like this final round, I'll have to make a concerted effort to fire myself up for it.
So we'll see now if Hawley has been able to fire himself up to the necessary level. That is Hawley in the brown car and Tom Anderson in the yellow and white.
Hawley and his whole team have an approach of consistency. Every run they lay down is almost the same, and what it means is that their competitors, Jim, sometimes feel they have to almost overreach themselves in order to beat Hawley. The pressure is more on the competitor than on Hawley.
Anderson gets the jump at the start, but now they seem to be even in the middle of the track, and Frank Hawley pulls away to win at the end. So Frank Hawley, who had been the number 2 qualifier in the division, beats the number 1 qualifier, Tom Anderson, to win the race.
Well, one of the appeals of drag racing is the unequivocal winning and losing, especially in a complicated world like ours. But in this race, there's a real seesaw battle that gives great excitement as Anderson gets the start, but now Hawley comes on in the middle part of the run and literally powers past him. Frank Hawley the winner, and by a very, very small margin. Frank, it was no, it sure wasn't. How did the run go for you?
I think it run about as good as it's run all day. I don't know exactly what it run. I saw that yellow and white car for a long time, and then down near the end, his car hasn't been falling off, but we just kind of snuck around him.
Tom, come in here.
Racer, boy.
Tom Anderson, it was an awfully close match you two guys just gave us.
Sure was.
What was your version of how it ended? It was awfully close there.
Well, what happened was we've been hurting this engine all day, okay? And I richened it up, a little bit too much, and when we got down towards the end, he just outpowered me.
Thank you. You richened it just enough.
So from a dramatic standpoint, the big moment of the Winter Nationals is now past. But entertainment continues here, including this race that we're going to see, Sam, between two jet cars.
Well, it would be almost comic relief if it wasn't for the fact that this is the most dangerous form of drag racing that there is. These cars have 6,000 pounds of thrust, which is the equivalent of about 12,000 horsepower.
They are powered by, honest to gosh, Banshee fighter plane engines.
But the drive is all out the back. You won't see any spinning of the wheels. It's a literal jet, and the thing will just go off like a rocket.
That's just preparatory. The real boom is bigger than that.
Kind of animalistic, aren't they?
Here it goes. And that's something that this crowd just loves. Pretty close to 300 miles an hour for those two jet cars. Let's take another look at the start, Sam.
There they go. There goes the Christmas tree. Turn out the lights. The party's over.
Well, that's going to be it from the Winter National Drags here in Pomona, and in the language of hot rodders everywhere, we hope you thought the show was cherry. It's been swell.